Welcome to part 2 of the tier list. If you guys didn't check out the first part, make sure you go do that really quick before you see this one. Anyways, hope you enjoy the video. Another bigger name, though, DeMar DeRozan. Maybe not what he once used to be, but still a very damn good player. Interesting fit. We made a YouTube video about that. Go check it out, one of our earlier videos from about a week or two ago. But DeRozan to the Kings, offensively, it's cool. Defensively, not cool. So I'm kind of thinking B tier because I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because the Kings never get anyone cool.
Yeah, there's a ton of concerns about like the ceiling of this team and things like that. But given that they're the Kings, given that they didn't really have avenues to go and sign big names, for them to land as someone as good as DeMar DeRozan, I think was probably the right move for them. I think it's fine, but I could see the case if someone was saying, "Oh, this is a D tier move," and now this team has no chance of competing at the highest level. I get that, but more realistically, I think this was a very useful signing for the Kings. I'm gonna go B tier.
Next one up is going to be Dario Saric. Again, I think it's a good move, again, to back up Jokic. Not a lot of money. I think that's I'm leaning towards A tier for that. He's one of Jokic's buddies, too.
Hmm.
I like the Dario one a lot. Probably one of my personal favorites of the
Okay,
offseason.
cool. I'm glad we're on the same page. I thought I was gonna have to sell you on A tier because I love this signing for
Nah.
the Nuggets.
Nah, I do too.
I've been dying for Denver to bring in a competent backup big for Jokic, and now they finally have one. And he definitely had his rough moments for the Warriors at times last year, but I think he'll fit in a lot better with the way Denver wants to play. I think this is a great signing for them.
Next up, he just disappeared into an abyss. Oh, there he is. There's Chris Paul. Chris Paul's S tier for me. I think this is the lowest risk, highest reward signing probably this whole offseason so far.
Yeah, I think you could definitely make that case. Yeah, I mean, 1 year deal. He's going to come in and do very similar to what I think he did in Oklahoma City during his time there. A little less usage, he's not quite the same player that he was back
Yeah.
then, but yeah, he's going to have all those same traits that he can carry. It's going to help the whole entire team. I mean, I'm looking primarily at Stephon Castle and his growth long term by playing with Chris Paul, but everyone on this team will improve by being Chris Paul's teammate. So this is definitely S tier for me.
Yeah, he's just a culture changer. It's more than just about getting the basketball player in Chris Paul. It's about
Hmm.
getting all the intangibles and everything else that comes with it. A guy that you're not getting a lot of intangibles with is going to be Tobias Harris.
Oh boy.
Again, I've even defended this move. I've defended this move more than probably other people have.
Yeah.
I still think it's a D signing. It just doesn't fit their timeline. It's just going to hurt the growth of their players. If they're actually trying to make the play-in, I don't really see why they would let Tobias Harris get minutes over someone like Simone Fontecchio at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like the Pistons needed to bring in some spacing, and I guess they've done that with Tobias Harris. But for one, I don't feel like they had to give him all that type of money. I know it's only a 2 year deal, but over 25 mil a year for Tobias Harris at this point, don't love that. And like you
Mm.
said, yeah, like him stealing minutes from like Simone Fontecchio or any of their young guys, don't love that because this is not a signing that pushes them into like some competitive tier of we might make the plan. Like they're very, very far away from that. So I probably would have liked to see them go in another direction. I understand they had to use the cap space somewhere, and I'm glad that they at least got someone who can shoot the ball. Theoretically, will space out the floor for them. But yeah, I have no issues with you putting him in D tier.
Let's blow through some of like the easier ones real quick.
Hmm.
So Aaron Wiggins, I think C tier, right? Kind of same boat as
I
Isaiah
was
Joe.
I was
No,
gonna argue that I think because of he's got more of a versatile skill set than Isaiah Joe, I would move him up to
B.
B. Because yeah, I mean
Okay,
the value of the
I
contracts are
can do
about the
that.
same, but I do like Aaron
He
Wiggins a
did
little better.
he did save basketball, so I have to give him a little bit of an edge for
Yeah,
that.
right, right.
And then another guy on the lower end, Gary Trent Jr. I think that's another S tier signing to me. That's the
Yeah, yeah,
third
yeah.
S tier
Yep.
because just super low risk again, super high reward. A guy that came off the Raptors this season, averaging 14 a game. He's been one of the best off-ball defenders in the league in the past, or not one of the best, but a very good guard defender in the past. I think he can get back to that with the Bucks. Just a very good upgrade over Malik Beasley, who I'm going to put towards the D tier or C tier, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you with Gary Trent Jr. For the Bucks to get him on a minimum is fantastic. I'm a little confused why his market was so dry, but yeah, great get for the Bucks. Malik Beasley going to the Pistons. I mean,
I lied about that.
what?
Beasley should go higher. I don't know why I said C or D
Oh,
tier. I actually
yeah,
kind
I
of
don't
like the
know.
Beasley
I
signing.
don't really hate it. I mean,
B?
this is B is okay. I mean, this is a case of just there was no other place that was going to offer Malik Beasley any more than like the minimum, it appears. So this is just an opportunity for him to get the most money. But like 6 mil for the Pistons, like they had the cap space for it. It's not really a big deal. Yeah, I think B is fine because he's going to come in and definitely help them.
Let's blow through all the Pistons, guys. Fuck it.
All right.
Simone Fontecchio, where are we feeling for the Italian?
A tier, A tier. I think that 8 mil a year for like similar to like Kelly Oubre. Like they're not really similar players, but like same sort of impact level, I would say. So for $8 million a year, I think it's great. I mean, Simone
Yeah.
Fontecchio is someone that's going to like raise the floor for this Pistons team, and we saw it. What did he play like 14 games from him last year, and he was very effective in a
Yeah,
very limited
50.
amount of time. So I think a full year with the Pistons, like it's going to do wonders for them. Just bring up the floor of this team.
I'm just gonna say the people that already don't know Simone Fontecchio, you will know soon enough because he's a very, very good basketball player, and he's probably maybe a top 2, 3 shooter on the Pistons, which isn't saying a lot. It's
Yeah,
not saying a lot at all,
yeah.
but he is a very good shooter, and he's one of the only guys on the floor that are going to be good spacers for them. Another good floor spacer, Buddy Hield, going to be Klay Thompson light in Golden State. I really like that one. I think that's another A-tier signing for me.
I would probably lean towards B, but I have no issues with A. I mean,
Okay.
Buddy Hield is one of the best shooters in the world, about as good as you could do in terms of replacing Klay Thompson's offense, with what the Warriors had available. Yeah, honestly, yeah. As I say it out loud, I think yeah, A tier is totally fine because they really couldn't have done much better in terms of getting rid of Klay Thompson and replacing him.
I just want to talk about this guy really quick, Gary Trent, or not Gary Trent, the other Gary Harris, because this guy has been using black magic the past few
Yeah,
years to stay in the NBA. F or not F tier, he gets the what the fuck tier because I
yeah.
just don't know how he keeps getting roster spots over like young unproven guys. He's not good and he's not a good leader. Or I haven't ever heard anyone say, Gary Harris is the best teammate I've ever had.
I'm like, what do you say fuck me for?
Yeah, I'm quite confused. 2-year deal for Gary Harris. I mean, it's not a ton of money. Less than $10 million a year at this point in the NBA is kind of insignificant in the big picture. But yeah, just the fact that he's still around, the fact that he's still going to be getting minutes next season. I don't think he's horrible. Like I think you might need to reel it back just a little bit. But like yeah, they definitely should be prioritizing some of the other guards on this team. Yeah, I'm fine with this.
My biggest issue with him is he's labeled as a shooter that cannot shoot.
No,
And
no, no.
I feel like every time I see this guy take a corner three, it's going off the back of the rim. And in the playoffs, any minutes he got were some of the worst minutes of basketball by any player in the 2024 playoffs. Rashawn Holmes is another one of those guys. I think he's bordering in that what the fuck tier,
Yeah.
but he is making basically not. He's not guaranteed in that second year. It's 2 years, $26 million. But still, paying Rashawn Holmes $12 million this year just sucks regardless, even if he did have the player option.
Yeah, this guy is a walking trade asset. This is the only explanation I can give to why he got this contract. Like they had to use up some cap space. Like there is a salary floor you got to get to, so they had to spend the money somewhere. And I would be shocked if he isn't used as some sort of salary filler in some sort of trade.
Another Wizards big is Jonas Valanciunas. I don't hate the signing, the money wise. I hate that the Wizards signed him, and I guess maybe not the worst mentor for Alex Sarr,
Hmm.
but I'm still feeling like a D tier for JV.
Yeah, I'm fine with D for now, but I'm curious to see what they end up doing because I think at 10 mil a year, I think it is really good value. It's just confusing why he would go to the Wizards, but like you said,
Yep.
could be very good in the short term for Alex Sarr, so he doesn't have to like take all of the center minutes. He can play next to another big. That's definitely very useful for rookie bigs coming into the league. So I think in the short term it could be useful. And then if they're able to trade him maybe at the deadline or going into next season, and get some value back for him, then I would be willing to bump this up to like a B tier. But I think right now
Yeah,
it's just very confusing. It's just like it doesn't really make a ton of sense given what the vision of this Wizards team probably should be.
exact. I think it's hard to see the vision with them signing JV. It's kind of confusing to see what they're trying to do.
Hmm.
Another big extension, the last big extension really out of the way. Actually, there's a few big extensions. 3 of the last 5 are big extension guys, but Donovan Mitchell, the biggest out of all of those. I think for Cleveland, it's kind of just like they had to do it. They could do it, and it's Donovan Mitchell. So by default, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if they were able to get like the full 5-year extension, I would have said S tier because very few people were expecting Donovan Mitchell to commit to Cleveland like that. Instead, they got 3 years with the player option on the last year, so I would knock it down a tier. But being able to get Donovan Mitchell to recommit to Cleveland after the postseason that they had, really just the season in general that they had, I think is very, very good for the Cavs. So I think A tier for sure.
Emmanuel quickly, one of the young guns to get paid. We didn't decide to include Franz, Scottie, or any of the obvious ones. Emmanuel quickly got a little more money than some people may have thought. I think right now it looks a little grim to some people, but I think in the long term it will work out. So I'm thinking, C tier for now, I feel like is probably fair.
I won't push back too hard on that. If you had just asked me, I would have said D tier though. I don't feel like Emmanuel quickly is on that level of being like one of these franchise guard type of players. He could very easily prove me wrong within like half a season of running the show in Toronto, but I don't know. This combined with Scottie getting the max, it's like a very big commitment to what the Raptors have going on, and they just haven't proven anything yet. So unless quickly is able to take a jump, I think this has a lot of potential to be sort of a rough contract for the Raptors, one that kind of sets them back as they try to get back towards being a contender. But I do see the potential. Like I wouldn't be shocked if quickly ends up living up to this deal. So I think C is okay.
It does hurt my heart to put him down to D, but I'll do it just for the sake of symmetry.
Okay.
Because there's too many people in A and B. So I'm sorry, Emmanuel. I love you, but I'm going to put you in D for now. Please prove me wrong. I think you will, but we're going to appease Dion.
All right.
So we have Jonathan Isaac, the next one up, which is one of the more interesting deals because of how it works. It's very front loaded, making 25-ish million this season, right? About 25 million this year.
Yeah, it's like 25 this year, all guaranteed, and then it drops to like 15 the next year, and then years 3, 4, and 5 are all like partially guaranteed or non-guaranteed. So it's really funky contract structure.
So I think for that, it's a lot of money for a guy that's barely been on the court, but they also have a lot of leeway if he isn't on the court. So I feel like that is almost the definition of a C tier deal to me.
I would push B because there is a lot of potential for him to outplay the value of the contract. Like this upcoming season, probably will not be a $25 million player unless he just magically is able to stay on the court. But in the long run, if he's able to maintain like a consistent level of play, I think he'll be worth way more what he's getting paid by the end of this deal. So I guess yeah, we could put it in C tier for now. But this is one of those deals that definitely has potential to move up a lot.
All right, I'm cool with that. What about KCP? Because he got a lot of money, but it was a really good fit.
Hmm.
And, with the other people are getting paid, I'm not sure it was really a bad deal. I'm feeling that's another one where I'm feeling C right now, but it could go up. It also could go down.
Yeah, this is one where I'm leaning a little bit more towards B, but I see the case for C tier. This is just like the cost of what it took because it was reported Denver offered like similar money or like maybe the same contract. So Orlando did have to go this high in order to get him. And like you said, it is a very good fit. This is almost exactly like the type of player that they need to slide in, someone to space the floor without sacrificing any of their defensive identity. So I would go with B because I think this
All
is a
right.
move that really,
Yeah,
really
that's
helps
fair.
them.
I'll give him B.
Cool. All right.
And to round things out, former Heedle, Caleb Martin going to the 76ers. I feel like that's an F tier. No, I'm just kidding. I feel like that's kind of just. I think people are overrating the fuck out of Caleb Martin. If I'm being honest, I just think it's a C. It's kind of like I feel like that's to me an Eric Gordon, Daniel Tice level move where it's gonna be whatever. He's gonna lose his Heat black magic like every other player that leaves the Heat does. So I feel like C is fine for him. It's not gonna be a good value or not gonna be some insane value contract like I think some people think it is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely making more money than Gordon or Daniel Tice, so he's gonna have to perform a little bit more than that. I think it just comes down to how willing he is to buy into a role. Because when I look at this Philly roster, sure, there's a lot of good names that you like on there, but they're really lacking a guy that can kind of just like fill all the gaps, do the dirty work, that sort of thing. Caleb Martin's definitely capable of being that player, so if he's going to buy into that role and not really worry too much about like his points per game and his touches, things like that, it has the potential to be a really impactful signing for them. But more realistically, yeah, it's kind of just like some depth. I think he would have been better off taking that 5 for 65 or whatever it was reported that the Heat offered him, and he settled for a little less with Philly. But I think 8 mil for Caleb Martin has the potential to be a totally fine contract. I think he's okay.
Well, that's pretty much going to be it. Now, I guess this is what we finally have. I
Yeah,
feel like
couple
someone's got to
tweaks
be an
there.
F tier. We got to put. I feel like for Rashawn Holmes, the second year is not guaranteed. Let's give Wizards fans a little bit of break from more pain and sadness. Let's put him in F instead of, the what the fuck tier.
The Black Magic tier.
And then Tobias Harris. Is Tobias Harris one? I feel like that can get moved down also.
Yeah.
It's just such a this does nothing signing unless the Pistons somehow turn him back into like a 20 point per game scorer on 50, 40, 90 almost splits, which I don't see happening. I don't know about you, but
it's almost just like extra uninspiring too because he used to play for the Pistons, so you're just bringing in an old guy on a team that was just so miserable last year, and a player that like his reputation around the league is like pretty low given like how good he actually is at basketball. So it's just so uninspiring. Like if you're a Pistons fan and you saw that news come across the timeline, you got to just be shaking your head. So yeah, I think it's fair that we maybe move it down a bit.
I think I'm liking the rest of the list though. What about
Yeah,
you?
this looks good. I think it's a reflection that for the most part, teams did a good job in free agency. Most of these guys are like C tier or
Yeah,
above. So yeah,
not too many bad deals. Like really, like any deals that I went and saw was like Timothy Mozgov, 16
yeah,
million a year.
right, yeah, yeah. Ever since the 2016 cap spike, teams have done a better job of not handing out too much money at once, and the rules of the league have sort of helped with that as well. But yeah, teams I think overall did a pretty good job this offseason.
Well, so that's gonna do it. Here is the tier list of some of the biggest and most notable free agent signings this offseason. If you guys did like this video, make sure to comment, subscribe, and check out all of our other socials. We'll see you guys in the next video, and have a good one. Peace.
Sir, you have a little bit of poop inside your testicles.